Look at the internet during the build-up to the 2026 World Cup, and you'll find the Norwegian national team cast in a very specific light. The Viking Row stadium craze and the viral memes project a distinct archetype, a feral, hyper-masculine berserker driven entirely by unkempt rage. But this algorithmic pop culture perception of early medieval Scandinavians is a historiographical illusion. To understand the actual mechanics of Viking expansion between the 8th and 11th centuries, we have to discard the modern meme. We need to examine a society built on standardized systems and meticulous order. This schematic demonstrates how the geopolitical dominance of the Viking Age was engineered. It relied on complex legal frameworks, rigorous structural design, and highly calculated logistical networks. The easiest way to dismantle the unwashed barbarian trope is by looking at what these people actually took to their graves. This image shows a frequently excavated artifact, an intricately carved bone comb. Note the fine teeth and geometric detailing. Grooming implements are common archaeological finds. Beneath it is a protective casing, engineered to protect hygiene tools during travel. English chronicles from the period even feature complaints from local clerics about Scandinavian habits. The texts record that the Norsemen bathed every Saturday, combed their hair daily, and changed their garments frequently, practices that far outpaced the local Anglo-Saxon customs. This dedication to personal presentation implies a degree of social ritual and individual discipline that contradicts the trope of the unwashed barbarian. It suggests that even the smallest details of Viking life were governed by clear, established standards. That same discipline extended outward into their governance. The foundation of early medieval Scandinavian society was the thing, their local and regional legal assemblies. To host these massive political gatherings, they required expansive physical geography. This is Thingvellir in Iceland, a sprawling rift valley selected specifically because its natural acoustics and vast plains could accommodate thousands of attendees. This diagram maps the strict concentric rings of social hierarchy within these spaces. The king or regional leaders occupied the center, surrounded by local chieftains, who were in turn circled by land-owning freemen. The thing functioned as a highly sophisticated appellate court. Rather than settling property disputes or criminal accusations with a sword, freemen argued their cases based on rigid, codified oral laws and established jurisprudence. A civilization capable of complex domestic self-regulation creates immense internal stability. That stability is exactly what allowed them to project massive, sustained military power outward across the continent. Even their leisure time was strictly engineered to condition the population for warfare. Look at this board for Hnefatafl. The central dark stone represents a king, starting surrounded by an overwhelming force of attackers. This asymmetrical rule set forced players to develop the exact defensive strategic logic required when commanding a besieged, outnumbered force. In their physical recreation, they practiced glima. This specific form of wrestling relied entirely on maintaining a rigid grip on an opponent's belt and using leverage to break their balance, a perfect simulation of the claustrophobic, high-pressure environment of a shield wall engagement. Then there was Knattleikr, a highly aggressive bat-and-ball team sport typically played on frozen ponds. The rules allowed for extreme physical contact. Historical sagas document matches lasting from dawn until dusk, where severe injuries or even death were considered acceptable risks for the sake of securing victory and team honor. These games acted as a cultural forge. From childhood, the population was structurally conditioned to combine high-stakes tactical thinking with immense physical resilience. The ultimate physical manifestation of this systemization was the longship. This vessel utilizes a clinker-built hull. Overlapping planks and iron rivets created a flexibly dynamic structure, absorbing the kinetic energy of rough swells. The sweeping curve from the keel provided deep-sea stability and a sleek profile for rapid troop deployment. Crucially, they achieved this with a draft depth of less than a single meter. That shallow draft meant they did not have to stop at the coast. They could sail directly past fortified seawalls and navigate deep inland through shallow river networks, striking targets that considered themselves entirely safe from naval assault. Even the ship's aesthetics were weaponized. The high, spiraled wooden prow, towering over the water, was deliberately designed to project dominance and strike fear before a single soldier disembarked. The longship was a highly optimized structural platform that effectively rewrote the logistical rules of early medieval Europe. Moving these massive fleets required precise logistical organization. Here you can see the strict geometric circular earthworks of the Trelleborg fortress, proving their capacity to build perfectly symmetrical, mathematically planned garrison camps. This tactical map of the 845 Siege of Paris illustrates their command structure in action. Chieftains coordinated multiple fleets, utilizing the sun to surround the city. These armies were logistically supplied by relying on highly efficient, pre-established maritime trade networks. When they did engage in close combat, they relied on brutally efficient hardware. This rusted iron sword, with its heavy pommel and broad blade, reflects a practical, standardized approach to close-quarters lethality. Yet they preferred to avoid costly, drawn-out battles. They treated their reputation for terror as a logistical tool, strategically leveraging psychological warfare to force immediate surrenders and extract massive silver payouts without losing troops. Their battlefield success was the calculated output of a legally organized, mathematically precise society applying its engineering directly to warfare. This map showing the global footprint of their trade routes reveals a sprawling network extending from Scandinavia all the way to Newfoundland in the west, and reaching Byzantium and the Middle East in the east. This global scale was entirely sustained by the internal mechanics we just examined, their codified laws, advanced structural engineering, and meticulous tactical command. Which brings us back to the stadium crowds and the viral World Cup aesthetics. The modern pop culture phenomenon is a distorted lens. By focusing on the feral aesthetic, it completely misses the structural genius that actually defined the era. The historical reality of early medieval Scandinavia was structurally complex and deeply organized. Their dominance proves an inescapable historical reality. Lasting power is born from rigorous systemization, never from savagery.